Hey everyone. As you can see up there, this is something that I haven't done in a while. It's called a recommendation video. And what I'm doing is I'm recommending basically two things. A documentary, a feature film documentary, if you will. A documentary feature film, as well as a website. Now, what is the website? Let's start with that because it's easy. The website is called dvd-covers.org. That's right, -covers.org. Now, what exactly is that website? Well, it's exactly what its name says. It's a website that allows you to download DVD, Blu-ray, and game covers, and even CD covers that have been scanned or created or have been uploaded because they've been creatively made. Now, yesterday, you may have noticed that when I talked about how multiple DVD disc cases can save you money in space, you might have noticed that when I showed you the Rescue Ranger series cover, that it had the R1DM or DB, the R1DB.com watermark on it. Now, first of all, I don't have really anything against R1DB.com, because I know they're doing the best they can, and obviously in financial times and struggles, you have to make money somehow. So that's why I downloaded, as you saw, that DVD cover for the Rescue Ranger Complete Series. Well, today when I Googled again, and I was looking for a cover, if you will, for some future use, I ended up stumbling upon this site. So I looked into it, and it gave me an actually decent cover for what I was looking for. So I went on, and I continued searching because obviously all these sites have search bars. And I typed in Rescue Rangers, and surprisingly, the same cover that I downloaded at r1db.com yesterday with that watermark, it came up, and it came up without a watermark. It came up like this. This is the same cover, folks, but as you can see, there is no watermark. The only watermark that you may ever get off of this is all depending on what kind of software you use to print it out with. For example, if you have, I can't even think of the name right now, but I use it. It's called Roland. It's basically ROYA. That's basically how part of it's spelled. But when you use that software, if you're using the demo mode, it'll have a watermark on there that says demo version. Alright, that's okay. And you know why it's okay? Because the demo version may come out and may kind of mess up the screen a little, may not look so good, but it's not as like the RYWB was, DW was yesterday. It's not that exposed. It's not that showcased. So all depending if you're using the demo version, that's the only thing that's going to be wrong. Now, if you somehow don't have the demo version or the trial version of a software like that, then yeah, you have no doubt when you print out the cover like this, it won't have no watermark. But if it does have a watermark, folks, here's why. It'll say something like, say, license on there, right? It'll say something like license or illegal license. That's obviously what this one says. Even though what I'm using now is the full version, not the trial, but the full, it still says illegal version. The reason obviously being is I found, I can't remember where I found it, but I found a key. I found a registration code and a key to make sure I got the full version without having to deal with it. So, but it still says illegal version, I don't know why, or illegal license. Basically saying it's licensed, but it's not the legal license. And don't tell me people out there don't do the same thing, because they do. And we all know it. But yeah, Rescue Range, I finally was able to get a better version of the cover that I talked about yesterday. Finally was able to get a better version. Without a big time watermark on the top. Now, what is the other recommendation I want to give you? Well, the other recommendation is a feature film documentary that I saw last night on Netflix. It was actually something that I think you can rent as well on DVD, maybe even Blu-ray through Netflix. But it's something that's also streaming on Netflix. It's called the documentary is entitled "Card Subject to Change," and I've read some of the reviews on my iPod and everything, and some people kind of iffy about it. But when I watched it, I looked and I said, you know what? This is pretty interesting. I said to myself, this is actually quite interesting, because what they do is they follow certain independent promotions. They kind of follow and film at certain independent promotions around the country. Mostly, they kind of follow the NWS, the National Wrestling Superstars, or Northeast Wrestling Superstars, whatever it's called. And they follow how, and they kind of document how promoters, like they follow this one guy, his name's Johnny Folo, or Johnny, his name's Johnny, I know that. And they basically documentate how, he puts together his shows, whether they're in a small area or not, as well as they documentate how young up-and-coming wrestlers, men and women, as well as veterans, seasoned veterans that have been in the business for quite some time, how they adjust and how they adjust to doing independent shows, or how they get booked onto independent shows, as well as how they feel about it. And surprisingly, a lot of the veterans that they talk to, actually expressed how they enjoyed being part of the independent show, how they felt more free to do what they wanted and say what they wanted. I mean, the people that they talked to and interviewed and followed were the likes of Kevin Sullivan, Kamala. They followed Rhett Titus from ROH, Trent Acid before he passed away. They even got Billy Kidman in there, Sabu, Terry Funk, Tom Pritchard, Bill Apter. I mean, the list goes on. They even got Sensational Sherry before she passed away, in what was her final interview. So it kind of tells you exactly how long this whole thing was in the making, how long it was going. I mean, how long it kept going. I mean, they showed footage from, they showed footage of like Trent Acid taking on Orlando Jordan. They showed footage of Big Daddy V in there, or King V as he's known, competing. They showed Rob Echoes before he went to TNA. I mean, all of these names that they showcased, all these names, all these people they showcased it, as well as they talked about, was surprising. I mean, they had the Road Dogg in there, they had Spike in there, they had Billy Gunn in there, they had, the list just is endless. They had Simon Diamond in there, they had them all. It was really, really kind of quite interesting and quite unique. I mean, they even followed some of the wrestlers at home and all that, or on the road, and to me, it was a really intriguing, really interesting documentation and kind of behind-the-scene look of how independent wrestling is done, and how, like I said, it helps advance the younger talent, the up-and-coming talent that's the future of the business, as well as how the veterans adjust to it. I mean, I'll give you an example. Trent Acid, in one of his matches before he passed away, he took on Rob Echoes. And one of the, I don't know what building it was in, but it was such a small building that when he was standing like on the second or top rope when he came out, he was touching these little like Christmas lights. Weird, huh? Unique, huh? But anyway, besides that, I thought it was not a great, but I thought it was interesting, an interesting perspective and look into how independent wrestling is booked and done, and how, like I said, the veterans and the young up-and-comers adjust to it. I mean, the young up-and-comers, yeah, some of them will make it, some of them don't. One guy they chronicled, obviously is older than me, tried to make it as a wrestler. I think his name was Sergeant James Irvin, or Sergeant James Storm. Not James Storm, but Sergeant James Irvin. And he didn't make it, so he's a referee now, but he hopes to make it again. So that was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't even know about this. Unless you're a real true diehard wrestling fan, I didn't even know that Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, 28 years ago managed Kamala. I didn't even know that. And it looks like he lost weight during that time too, so whew. Well, they were filming it, I should say. So, again though, it was really, really interesting. And I like Sabu's take one time. He's getting ready in the back area, and one guy walks past him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely an independent show." So, but yeah, it's like I said, it's a very intriguing, very interesting look into professional wrestling's independent side, and how it's done and booked and stuff. So, and you know, I have to say this: I have to give credit to the NWS. You know, for them to do 60 shows a year, according to what this documentation said, a year, 60 shows a year. That's saying something. So again, those are my recommendations, though. Again, you should check out the documentary area called Cars Subject to Change. It's very intriguing, very interesting perspective and look into independent wrestling. As well, as far as websites go, if you're looking for like DVD covers without the watermarks or without having to pay a certain price, check out dvdcovers.org. I mean, they may not. Now, first thing about dvd-covers.org, before I go, one of the things I will say is they won't have everything you're looking for, but they'll have a decent amount. Believe me. So, that's all I'm going to say. Those are my recommendations. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. And I'll talk to you later.